Alright, next up we're going to file the ring gaps to make sure it fits. You get these pistons and you need to gap the rings for the application that you use. And Recycle usually gives this chart where you can look up all the applications and what you need to do. Some formula to calculate the required ring gap that you need for your bore size. I did some quick calculations there for the top and the second ring. And what we'll do now is put these rings in each bore and gap them for the corresponding bores. And then when the gap is correct, you can then install them on the pistons and then you can continue the install. So the function of the ring is basically sealing the piston with the bore. So ideally, of course, if you have perfect seal, the two diameters are exactly the same. But that's not possible in practice, so that's why you have these rings. And they hold the combustion pressure within the combustion chamber that doesn't pass all these rings. And of course, yeah, there are several rings on here. The top, the second, and the third one are the oil scrape rings, and that is to scrape the oil down so that it doesn't go into the combustion chamber and burning oil. So yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, and of course some tools I have: ring expander, put the ring on the piston, some feeler gauges, and a ring grinder to grind the rings to adjust the gap. So basically, when these rings are in the bore, ideally when its engine is cold, it's probably going to be something like this, exaggerating of course. And when the engine is on operating temperature, the gap should be as close as possible to seal as good as possible. So if the gap is too big, you lose a lot of pressure, and if the gap is not sufficient enough, then it could expand even more, and then it could bind here a bit or damage the cylinder walls or get stuck or whatsoever. So it's always better to be on the larger side, less gap the better. And that's why you have those ring gap specs from Recycle where you can gap them to the correct specs. Here you see I installed a ungapped ring. And you see that the clearance is very small. So they start like this, so you can always file it to a bigger gap to your needs. Yeah, you put a ring vertically in and then you twist it slowly in. What I usually do, use a old piston, and then you can use the existing ring here. You can press it in, and then you know that it's parallel to the upper surface, so you don't get a skewed view. Because if the ring is, like, for example, a little bit like this in the bore, then of course the diameter is not correct, it's bigger, and then you measure a wrong gap. So it's important that this is parallel to the upper surface.